Welcome in. It is day 117, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be speaking about a game that I first discovered when I was playing it on Board Game Arena. It was one of the top games for us. Me and my friends probably found it about 4 or 5 months in. I had had a little bit of an idea about it before, had kind of seen it in stores, had grabbed my eye visually, but didn't know what the game was. And when we started playing, it became one of our top picks. That game is Res Arcana. Now, the idea of Res Arcana is that it's a little bit of a multi-stage game. First of all, it starts as a drafting game. So you're all going to shuffle up the cards. You're going to end up picking out enough that you end up getting 4 cards per player. And you're all going to pick a card and keep it. Pick a card and keep it. Pick a card and keep it. You just keep passing. Once you've gotten 4 cards, you will then get another 4 cards and you'll draft again. You end up with a total of 8. Now on top of that, you have a couple different piles going on. There are 8 cards at the top that are the option cards, meaning once you finish up this draft, you will then draft, starting with whoever's going to be the last to go. You'll pick one. This is going to give you a for the round ability. At the end of your round, when you pass, you turn that back in and pick something that's available out there. Meaning, if you all pick one, well, whoever the first person is to pass will have to take one of the ones that weren't used initially. But then theirs is back up for grabs, so the next person who passes could take the one they had. So you can't use something repetitively, but you could use it every other round if you're lucky enough to keep grabbing it. Now, there's also the treasure cards. These always have 2 that are physically showing, but you can choose to take off the top. It costs 4 gold to get it, and these will give you just like the other cards, it's a permanent ability, but they also come with points. These tend to be 2 points on average. However, some of them are worth 1, and there's a single one with no ability that's worth 3 for your actual points at the end. And then there's the big ones, the ones that cost a lot. These are your locations. Now, there are a total of technically 10, but they're double-sided. So you get 5 only in the round, and it's completely randomized. You don't know which side you're getting. You don't know which combo you're getting. And these have ways of mixing in with all your different types of cards and abilities. So based on the card that you end up getting and the locations that are out there and the cards that show up first for your treasures, as well as who you pick, because you're all going to be dealt 2 cards that are going to be who you are, and those are going to be chosen between the 2 and lead right off with an ability. This might be that you always get like one of your red tokens and that you have an advantage of drawing an extra card if you want to give something up. Every one of these comes with some type of an ability that you start the game with. So once you go, the whole idea is that you have, and I'm just going to go with the color names and not trying to remember what everything stands for. You have the gold, which is the hardest to get. You've got blue, red, green, and black. Everything costs something, for the most part. Some cards are free, and they're very weak, but for the most part, everything costs something. And when you make stuff, it's either you're making primarily, new things to go out for your weapons or your pieces of machinery or whatever it may be, or you're making a dragon or an animal. Sometimes a dragon is considered both a dragon and an animal, which gives you a little corner token that tells you, hey, this is what it is. You're trying to slowly gather more points. Some of the cards you make in your hand are going to be worth a point. Some of the cards that you make from the treasure is going to be worth a point. Some of the location cards are worth points. Some cards will tell you, well, it's not worth points now, but as you stack things on it, it will become points. So every time that you have this location and you have 8 blacks, then you can turn them in and they'll become a quick point on top, and it'll basically keep gathering. So there's loads of ways to get them, as well as whoever the first person is to pass will get in as an additional point, a +1. So that 1 point can pass around, round, around. Now, once somebody has passed in a round and their total points equals 10 or higher, that is the final round. You'll finish out the round for everybody else, and once everybody's done, you'll then see who wins based on the points. Primarily, it'll end up being that whatever your points are is what your points are, but sometimes you'll have a card that says if you're checking for your point value, you can, for instance, one of the treasure cards will allow you to spend 3 gold to get 3 points. So it's a quick way to say, all right, well, I got to the end, I had 8, you had 10, but this lets me throw out 3 gold if I have it, which I do, and it gives me a +3. I get to 11, I get the win. But you might try doing that because you're not really paying attention, you don't do your math right, turns out it gets you to 9, not to 10, and unfortunately you've just wasted 3 gold, nobody wins, goes to the next round. So you have to really pay attention in this game. So why don't we jump into our 7 categories and see where this game ranks on those for me. I really like the art in this game. The box is unique. I like that it's really color-based, that it pulls you in with the blue and the red, and it's really all about this card art in the game. It really, for me, sets its tone without having to have a board, which is impressive. It's a thumbs up. The game is based on really 2 principal components. There's your cards, lots of different cards. You've got small, low, medium size. They're all different sizes, but they're good quality. And then you've also got your little wooden pieces that represent each of your actual red, blue, green, black, and gold components that you're using in the game. These are really good quality as well. However, on top of that, the game does come with this really nice tray that you can pull out. It's the storage tray in the box, but you can use it during the game. So when we've played in person, this tray works fantastic for really containing, but making it easy to access and see the pieces. As well as when it comes to those locations, they're not cards, they're actually a large cardboard printout that you have down, and those are good quality too. Components are very well done. It's a small game, but it's a great game. Thumbs up there. The price is that this game is definitely becoming more available. Now, I mentioned I initially saw this in a store. I was actually in France with my wife, and every time we go to a new location, I always try to go check out a board game store. I kick myself now because it wasn't until after my last trip in Italy that I finally started the channel. And I'm like, man, I wish I'd been thinking about it, because I had gone to board game stores in Italy, in France, England, Spain, down in Mexico, and I've just never recorded the stores. I now wish I had. But I was in France, I was in a store, and I so happened to see this box. It grabbed my attention, and I thought it looked great. So I took a picture, and I had it in mind for a long time. And it was right after that trip that COVID hit. And during COVID, about 6 months in, is when we found this game on Board Game Arena, and I immediately ordered it online. I was like, wow, that's the game I saw in France. This is really good. I've got to get it. So I think that the availability of this game, it's out there. It was in stores in France. I've seen it in stores here in the US in multiple locations. I'd say minimum 3, probably more 4 out of 5 stores have it. I don't believe I've seen this ever in a Target, but I do think I've seen them in Barnes & Nobles. I think it has reached that level. It's definitely gained popularity. So it's out there, and it's not that expensive. It's a smaller box. There's a lot less in there. This game tends to be max value $40. You might even find it for like 35-ish. So thumbs up on that price. So the difficulty is all up to how you play. Now, I personally tried, because of friends, because of family, multiple people through the years, to play when I was growing up that game, Magic. I didn't get into it. I had been told the way that you use your cards in this, the way that you tap them, that you add things to the top of them, that they can be worth point values, is pretty much the exact mechanics of Magic. It's just Magic is a giant assortment of cards that has literally decades of new cards coming out. And this is really, really contained. So in that regard, I was like, okay, well, that's cool. I guess a game learned from an extremely well-used system that has gotten, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of fans, and made a game that could work. So I think that the system's good, and it's definitely one that I think experts can appreciate, experienced players can appreciate. I think new people coming in aren't overwhelmed by it. They might be a little confused. I know my wife was thrown the first time she played, but she didn't dislike the game. And I think that kids, that the art and the setup of these and the collecting of the pieces, I think is going to be enough to keep their interest, for them to get over the hurdle of the first few games where they're probably confused about what they're doing. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. game is built on the replayability happening all in a row. I've never played this one time and done. Every time I played this game, it's because I've gotten to the table and we've played it through, and then at the end of the game, we shuffle up and we play again. Usually when we were playing on Board Game Arena, we'd be getting in 3, maybe 4 games of this a night. Physically in person, it tends to be more like 2 games, but it's all about replayability. You may not pull this game out on a regular basis. It might not be something you see every week or every month. It might only come out 3 or 4 times a year. But when it does, it's going to hit your table for a couple hours. Big thumbs up. Your keys to victory is, it's a good and it's a bad. It's up to the randomness of that shuffle. If you're playing with 4 people, then you're going to be playing with 32 cards. But there's a lot more than 32. I want to say this game contains somewhere in the range of probably about 60, 64-ish cards for the actual drafting cards. And depending on the order of, which ones come out, what ones are grouped together, what you get, you could end up having strategies kind of be thrown in your face. Oh, I'm doing the dragon strategy. Oh, I'm doing the buy only the gold-based items strategy. Or you literally just have no idea what your strategy is because the cards just don't match up very well. Or you're just unluckily in that seat where the person before you keeps drafting weirdly the cards you consider and you don't know what to grab every time. But in general, it doesn't really matter because when you get your 8 cards and you see what 8 cards you have, you're going to come up with some kind of a strategy. Even if the idea is, oh, I'm going to just toss 3 or 4 of these cards are going to just be used to discard so I can get 2 random colors or 1 gold and use it in that regard, because that's a way. Or if you want to focus in on getting the locations or getting a particular one round only ability type of strategy, there's lots of strategy, and you're not guaranteed to win or to lose any of them, but you definitely have to adjust to the other people's strategies. When you're drafting and you see certain cards pop up and you don't want them, you have to, in your mind, remember, I passed on this. That person's going to be doing this strategy probably. I need to be ready. I can't just ignore them. So you have to be on your toes. But I do think the keys to victory are definitely there. It's a thumbs up. Is this game unique? I think when it comes to board games, I don't think there's another game that I've played that's like this. Now, yes, based on what I've been told, it sounds like it's not unique in comparison to the CCG game Magic. It sounds like this is not a ripoff, but using that system. And I definitely would throw Magic into the gaming category, but when I'm reviewing and I'm talking about a unique board game, I'm really talking about, hey, it's a board game night. We're pulling a game out that we're going to play together in a group. It's a self-contained game. It's not going to be something where you have to bring your thing and I have to bring my thing and they have to bring their thing. When you're doing a Magic night or a Yu-Gi-Oh night, yeah, you can mix it with games, but it's different. That's why I think this game is unique because, well, it uses their system. This is not something that you're picking A or B. This is one where you're in the mood for a board game night, or you're in the mood for, I play those types of games, I collect those cards, and I want to play with my friends. So I do think this is unique. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Overall, what do I think of this game? I think this is a great game. I don't think it's expensive. I think it's an easy get to the table with your friends. I think that family and non-board gamer friends can appreciate it, but it may take them a few plays. So you have to see if you have the type of family or friends that have that patience to be willing to play a game a few times and not get it right away. Because this is just one that definitely doesn't hit right away. But when it comes to your regular gaming friends, I think this is one that will be a blast. You'll find that it's really competitive and it's not too long. So you can mix it in with a couple other short games, or you can have a big game and have this one be a lead off or an end of the night type game because it only takes you 45 or 60 minutes max. So definitely, my opinion, if you have the chance to play it, definitely do it. If you have the chance to buy it, I think you should. But that's just my opinion. It's up to you guys to get out there, find this game, find other games, see what you think, and feel out what kind of a game or games really fit into you and your group's type of game night. Well, it has been day 117, and we've been talking about the game Res Arcana. And you've been speaking to the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.